Well, we got Michael Sherlock right back with us. Yeah, that's the cop who resigned about 2 months ago from the police. And wow, it's just so great to have them and so refreshing to have a cop being able to talk to us so frankly. So thanks for coming on, Michael, again. And we love it
That's all
every
right.
week that you're updating us.
That's all right. It's we're taking the proper precautions. We're both not feeling very well, so we've decided to jump on Zoom today rather than see each other face to face.
Look at that, eh? Precautions. Now, look, we somehow live in fear of catching a virus, but what's happening more and more in Auckland and even other areas is the crime rate seems to, well, violent crime seems to be going up. And that is frightening. We're getting shootouts on a daily basis. What was it, May? Over 100 shootings. And that's really, really concerning for us and the public. What precautions can we take, Michael? Should civilians arm themselves?
Civilians, no. Civilians should never arm themselves. That's just going to put you in a whole heap of trouble beforehand. There's precautions what you can take to make sure that you are safe in situations like that, but never to arm yourself. Never arm yourself because you make the problem 10 times worse, like I've said. Even arming yourself to, when you say arming yourself, do you mean firearms or do you mean a bat, a knife, a pepper spray? Like these things are still considered armament.
Well, I actually hear about these home invasions where they just stroll into your property, threatening to bash you with whatever they can. And people just have to capitulate and do as they're told. And the more you do that, it seems like you're more of a target for a bashing as well. And look, we see pensioners getting hidings. We see all sorts of things. Now, I've got to say, as a man and an older man, that's not the way I was. That's not the way I'm made. I have to defend my family, and I would probably try to do that if it was reasonably safe.
Yes, of course, reasonably safe. I think every man has that stigmatism with him that he wants to be the Superman at the end of the day. But sometimes there's a time and a place for it. I know you could probably take. I will say that every man watching this has either had that little dream that he would save the day at this sort of thing, or something went down and he would fix it. Like 100%, every guy's had that feeling
But Michael, you
and
must have
wants
gone
to
to the
go
police
for it.
force so you could live with that every day. It was there to save the public. You wanted to
Yes.
be the man. And look, I'm not saying to you, I want to be Superman. I don't want to be
Yeah.
Superman, but
No.
I feel it's my responsibility as the male of the house, the stronger, physically
Yeah.
stronger person to defend my family.
Yeah. No, 100%. And if it ever comes to that, defend your family at all costs and whatever you're defending. But, and I don't take that away from anybody because I would feel the same if some intruder came into my home. Even right now, if I was living with my parents or anybody like that, I would feel like I'm the younger one than my dad. I'm fitter, I'm stronger. I should be the one defending. But taking into account, armament is never the right thing. It will get you into more trouble. There is self defense, yes, but armament, no, because you quickly self defense only goes so far before you become the aggressor. That's the problem. There is a fine line of where does self defense stop and you become the aggressor and you become the person that is assaulting the other one. Just because when he's come onto your property and yes, you've hit him with a bat to get him out and you've knocked him fully out cold and he hasn't come with anything else, you're starting to become the aggressor.
Well, do you know, Michael? I think it was recently a farmer. Did he shoot somebody, or he caught them in the property stealing? So he did take the aggression action. Now,
Mm,
I wonder. I suspect most other men that read this of my vintage probably said, "Damn good
good
job."
job.
And
Yes.
I wouldn't mind betting that he got a wet bus ticket as a penalty because he did break the law by assaulting those people and maybe shooting them. Yeah, it's pretty serious. But what I'm saying is, in the eyes of the public, guy probably did what everybody else thinks they might do in those circumstances.
Yes. Yes. I think I'm looking at it more from a, let's say, police perspective, seeing as that if you were to go ahead and anything like use of force through the police, you can use of force until it's not deemed necessary anymore. So taser, like I said, when you get assaultive and everything like that, the taser comes out. But as soon as you're not at that level anymore, I can't use that use of force. So if I've got you and cuffed you, I shouldn't be able to. Okay, if you're kicking me and stuff, yes, there's a use of force to be able to put you in more of a restraint and put you into the car, or in a home invasion, if I've got you down and restrained you and you're done for, I shouldn't be able to kick your head in. That's just not the way that's allowed because now
Well,
you've
let's
gone
just use
over the
a
use of
logic
force.
then, and taking what you're saying, and I take it as very sensible about getting the weapons taken off you, and you end up being a victim yourself. But the other thing is, or the first thing I think is what a neighbour of mine did. He came in to live behind me, and he immediately took all the trees out because he said that people could climb the trees and go over the fence. He immediately put in lock fences, electric fences, and took them out up as high as he could. That's what he was used in Joburg, Johannesburg. And I took him for a walk one day down the beach, and we go down via a park, and all these people's properties are wide open to the bush line. He couldn't get over that. He said, wow. And people live with that. And he said, anyone could stroll out of the bush into their house. I said, well, that's right, but people don't. But that's
Mm.
changing, Michael. And what I'm saying to you is, what should we do? Do we start building walls around ourselves?
No, I keep keep that Kiwi feel, that Kiwi. We're not Joburg, we're not London, we're Auckland. We have our own problems, yes, but there's no to the exact point that we have to start building walls, building, arming ourselves in some sort of fashion when we go outside. We are in Auckland, we're in New Zealand. Yes, it's ramping up, but like I've said to you a couple of times, actually, New Zealand itself is now not. It's over the last 10 years, even 5 years, with COVID and everything like that, we've gone from arguably a second world country. We've been like friends with the first world and we don't want to do anything. But now suddenly we've ramped up and now we're a first world country with first world problems. And that's where this is all coming from, arguably
All right,
inflation,
then
all that sort
you're
of stuff.
saying, look, don't arm yourself. Don't make
No.
you don't go to any precautions and keeping them out.
Yeah.
What do we do, Michael?
What you
Because
do
you're
is
actually making me feel pretty vulnerable here.
what you do is stay vigilant. Stay vigilant. Figure out. You can see that it is a confined area where these problems are coming, isn't it? How often is it on the shore? How often is it in central Auckland? Most of the time, it's in arguably West Auckland or South Auckland. It is where the hostile gangs, where there's hostile problems. Sorry about that. My cough was about to come out. Yeah, so it's most of the areas where it comes from is West
I
and
have
South
to
Auckland.
disagree with you because on the shore it's happening here. So we had the Hills jewelry store that was smash and grab during daylight at what
Yeah,
3 o'clock in the afternoon. We've had shootings here just recently, and the gangs are living in amongst us. We know that now because we know where they're there and they frequent some of our bars. So and look, it's good picking if the gangs are heavy over west, they're coming now to the shore because the easy targets are here, and where it's a prosperous society over this side.
hmm
So it is good and easy pickings for them. What do we do?
like I said, you can't. It's it's all gang related violence that we see. It's not civilian violence. It's not someone. Okay, arguably, we'll discredit or discount the Murray's based knife attack. That was a freak of nature. That doesn't happen regularly. There's other stuff, the shootings, the ram raids, all of these are becoming more and more prevalent. But what it does is does not put civilians' lives at risk. You should not worry because it's not coming towards you. It is based upon rival gangs and arguably shops. Nothing you will get in the if you get in the way, it will become your problem.
It was
If
only 2 weeks ago that the was it Belmont School? Three
yeah,
schools were shut down. There were multiple police armed going in because it was said that a gunman was there with a gun, and those kids had to get under their desks. Now I know some parents who are absolutely distressed with worry over that, and look, that's a concern, and that's on the North Shore. Um, the question goes, what do we do at the schools to keep our kids safe? What being vigilant? What do you mean by that? Do we just put stand by looking
No,
and watching and
being
reporting?
vigilant. When I say being vigilant, is being more aware of your surroundings, being more aware of arguably targeted or problematic areas, and being like, okay, this area has had its bit of problems. I just need to keep my sense of awareness ready because it could happen at any time. That's when I say vigilant, that's what I mean. You need to be vigilant in regards to keeping your awareness around just in case something does go down. In go regards to the Belmont school, how police react to these things is as soon as someone says someone's got a gun, we meet force with force and we treat it like they have a gun until the very last second where we know they don't. So what happened is, of course, the schools get shut down. I was going to say, when I worked West Auckland, we were shutting down schools every week in the West Auckland area because someone would arguably walking around with a gun, and then they would shut down. Schools get shut down because they're in a vicinity, not because they're at the school. Just because if they're in the vicinity of, like, say, 2 kilometers of that school, the school will go into lockdown. That's the only thing which will happen.
So,
It's not because
Michael,
they're at the school.
let's get to it. Our crime rate's going up. It's becoming frightening. You're telling us don't put a wall around yourself. You're telling us don't arm yourself. You're telling us do nothing.
I'm
Be
not saying
vigilant. Just keep an eye out.
The problem is if you start digging yourself and worrying too much, that you're going to come across this, that you need to carry something, that you need to feel like you need to be safe. So you need to put some borders up around your home, or just put borders up around yourself. Oh, I'm not going there anymore because I know then you're not living. You've got to live, Max. You can't. Crime happens every day. Crime happens right now without us thinking. You can't go day to day thinking about these problems. If you get caught up in it, you get caught up in it. But you've got to stay vigilant so you don't get caught up in it. That's just what life
Now, we
works
dealt with
nowadays.
this last week. So there's Neighborhood Watch, which is keeping vigilant but all the neighbors.
Yeah.
You discourage that.
I don't discourage it. I just discourage, like, good on you for having your Facebook pages and stuff like that, of course. But the patrol guys that drive around in their cars and try to intervene when they shouldn't be, that's when the problem strikes for me. It's that you can get yourself into a lot more trouble than anything else.
Should we join the Neighborhood Watch, or whatever it's called now? It's got a new name, I believe.
Like I said, staying vigilant is the right way to go. What you should do, get your road to make a Facebook page. Like you said, have your road, have your community, have a Facebook page, and then anything that seems weird or anything like that, post on it. That is another way of staying vigilant. That's how to keep an eye out on your area so that you know that stuff is happening. That's, again, one way of staying in the loop but not closing up.
So when I was the Neighborhood Watch coordinator, the police were part of the process. And so each month they would send me a report on all the crime in the area, and I would distribute that amongst our members. And, occasionally we'd have a gathering. I think we had once a year or anything. And, excuse me, and talk about issues. And if anything suspicious came up, we would report it on our Facebook page. Just somebody hovering around the street, and it could be totally innocent, and we knew that, but we just would report it anyway.
Yeah. Again, that's the right way to do it. I don't have a problem with Neighborhood Watch or anything like that. It's just when when Neighborhood Watch go too far over what they're meant to do. Yes, you see something wrong, you give the police a call. You don't try to intervene when I've seen some Neighborhood Watch people intervene. And then that's where it goes wrong.
All right. So your advice, Michael, if the crime rate's going up, if things are happening in your hood, just be vigilant. Don't take any precautions. Don't do anything unusual. Don't put up walls. Don't take any security issues. What about cameras and all those things?
If you want to go and put cameras around your home, it's great. because it helps with stuff with
What about
police
security
evidence.
lights?
Yep, security lights. These are things, what you're telling me now, these are things that when I lived in England, I grew up with. So, like, this goes all the way back to where I was at the very first and at the start. It's New Zealand is just catching up with the rest of the world nowadays. Crime is coming over here. We're not just getting fistfights anymore in the street. We're catching up with the first world countries.
And Michael, we're feeling it. That's why we're asking you what can we do to defend ourselves and to be a deterrent for the criminals to come to our property.
Yeah, and floodlights like the on your garage, great idea for motion lights. Cameras, yes, but the thing is, what I'm trying to get across is that don't put up walls around you, because your mental health will just get destroyed. You just will destroy your whole life worrying about crime. It's not you having to worry, because it doesn't look like it's got a handle. It's just, like I said all the time, crime ever changes. It's taking a shift. And what happens? We need to take the shift with the crime. Like anything, this is like anything else. House prices, inflation. We need to shift to make sure that we can keep going. We will shift, and that will just so happily change, and the policing will become different. But to keep yourself safe, like I said, get your house lights, get your cameras, maybe put up a better fence on your front, around the front of your property. Arguably, a lot of people do that. I used to, when I worked in West Auckland, get a bloody dog. Everyone had a dog, so it barked like hell when you came into the driveway. Yeah, like, it's all about keeping your height of awareness now a bit higher than it used to be, because New Zealand is a very nice place, but like I said, we're catching up with the rest of the world.
All right, so let's sum up, Michael. You've got to the point where you're saying good things to have around: cameras, lights, security lights, a wall if you're going to want to put one up, a fence at the front as a deterrent, and maybe a dog. These are things that you can put in. It's your option.
Yeah, don't get a docile dog. If you want to get a dog for protection, then it's got to be a bit more of a staffy. But
all right, mate. Thanks very much, and we'll catch you next week.
Cheers. Thank you.